Hi, and thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, where we talk about celebrity gossip, entertainment news, fashion, and royals. This week, we're switching it up because we're talking about both stories we covered and a couple we deliberately skipped. We're going to discuss Operation Varsity Blues, Elizabeth Holmes' deep voice, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the royals, and Lena Dunham's cringy essay for Vogue. Our user question this week is about Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and we end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The photos, stories, and memes we talk about here can be found at celebrity.com under our podcast section, and they're also in the show notes. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So last week, I was just recovering from a procedure and I was on medication for it. I was on painkillers, and I am sorry. I've listened to it again and I'm kind of mortified at how drugged out I sounded.
I just thought you sounded very tired. You didn't sound out of it. You just sounded tired and a little bit neurotic, like you were second guessing yourself a lot.
I was more than regular. I was also clicking around on the internet, like while we were talking. I was getting easily distracted. Yeah, but this week I'm only on ibuprofen. I'm still kind of recovering, so I'm not 100%. But hopefully I won't be as whacked out as I was last week.
All right, well, this week in gossip, it wasn't a huge gossip week. There were a lot of just like remnant stories from the previous weeks. We're still talking about Operation Varsity Blues and the long repercussions. And I mean, this is going to go on for months and months because there are court dates and the investigation is still ongoing. There probably will be more charges, I think.
This week, Loughlin and Felicity Huffman are covering Us magazine, and they make it sound like they have an interview with them. They have the headline Monster Moms Tell All. They do not have an interview with them.
Yeah, they did not speak to Us Weekly. I said earlier this week that I thought like Felicity Huffman and William H. Macy were like keeping it tight. Like they weren't leaking a lot of stuff. They were just kind of going silent. But the Us Weekly cover story does have a lot of information about how their marriage is basically on the rocks now. And I do feel like that might be true and that some people around them might be talking about that.
22 years they've been married. And in interviews I've seen with her prior to this, she just sounds like he's the best thing ever. And she's madly in love with him. And I'm like, how can you be that way after so long?
Yeah. And he's the same way. Like, he openly just adores her or adored her before all of this happened. I really do buy that he's devastated about this whole thing.
Not that as devastated as she is, because he's not going to go to jail or anything. Well, neither is she. And that's one point that you made. Like, they're not going to jail. They'll probably have to pay a fine and, be on probation.
Yeah, she's going to get like community service and she'll pay a fine maybe. I don't see her going to federal prison. I just don't. Now, Lori Loughlin and Mosimo, or whatever, however you say his name. I mean, that was $500,000 worth of bribery schemes. I think they might actually end up going to jail for a few months, maybe.
They might get some tax evasion charges, and you don't mess with the IRS. That's how they get you. That's how they got like all the major gangsters and stuff.
I totally understand. The other side to the story is that some of the PR is coming in, and do we find any of these people sympathetic whatsoever? And they're trying to make Olivia Jade Giannulli seem a little bit sympathetic. And is she? I don't know.
I don't think she's sympathetic at all. I mean, she just basically incriminated herself on YouTube and Instagram, right? The clip we played last week was of her saying she's going to party. She can't even go to the first few weeks of class or whatever. She's full of crap. Her sister, Isabella, she's maybe sympathetic because we don't know her.
Yeah, and because maybe the process to get her into college wasn't as involved. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think that Olivia Jade obviously didn't want to go to college, and it was obviously something that her parents really pushed on her. Reading through the court filings or whatever, I mean, Lori Loughlin she was doing the most to get Olivia Jade into college. That girl didn't even have to fill out her college application form herself.
Oh, right.
That's ridiculous.
And you made the point that she didn't know what to write because she wasn't even involved in rowing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've seen a lot of sympathetic pieces about those girls. And you ran one from ET that says Bella and Olivia are suffering, you know, from their parents' decisions. And it's like, come on.
Yeah, but how much of that is on them? I don't know. That's the question I have. I mean, I think that the girls, the daughters, were definitely aware of their parents scheming.
Yeah.
Olivia Jade knew that her mom was going through all of these extraordinary motions to get her into college, but at some point you do have to say, Mom, enough. Just let me live my own life.
They both withdrew.
Yeah.
We covered that last week. They both dropped out. They probably preemptively did that. I think most of these high profile cases, the kids should get kicked out of school. It's only fair.
Yep, I agree.
And we also covered the Elizabeth Holmes story. The Inventor came out on HBO, and that was the documentary about her and her Theranos blood testing scam. She talked about this small device the size of a 3D printer that could test blood samples, but it was all complete bullshit. And she just went around spewing this bullshit for years. She got 700 million in investors.
And I remember when Vanity Fair started doing those stories on Theranos, I remember like thinking even back then, like before we knew the whole extent of her crimes.
Yeah.
I remember thinking something in the milk isn't clean. Too many parts of the story didn't make sense even then, like before anyone really knew.
Yeah. They just touted her as this wonderkind. She could spin this great personal story and tale. And like behind closed doors, the people who were working for her were like, it didn't work. We told her. You know, she fired the guy who told her it wouldn't work. You know, she's just full of crap the whole time.
The documentary has come out, and there's going to be a movie made starring Jennifer Lawrence, which is great casting, by the way. I think Jennifer Lawrence is totally going to nail that.
She is. It'll be fun.
The coverage, like right now, this week, and around the documentary, it's a lot about her image. Oh, we should have known she was a scammer because she looked this way and because she sounded this way. I find that very sexist. I really do.
It is sexist. Part of it is because she admitted modeling her wardrobe after Steve Jobs with the bullshit black turtlenecks. She would wear like a black turtleneck and an ill-fitting jacket to these events where she was being honored. You know, she did that on purpose so she could have a uniform. But yes, it's sexist to focus on how she looked.
I get that there was definitely an affectation with her. You know, everything about her was very affected. But I think that's also true of so many men in that sort of like billionaire world. Even Steve Jobs, a lot of his stuff was affectation as well.
And showmanship.
Yeah, then she's copying him.
Yeah.
The thing about her voice, which has gotten so much attention, I just think that she has a very deep voice. And I think she was probably putting on a little bit of a voice. It's basically her voice. There's so much focus on, did she have a completely different voice in normal life? I don't think she did.
In the podcast, from what I remember, the only example they gave, and there's been a couple podcasts about her, but the one I listened to was The Dropout. One person said when she got drunk, her voice went up a little bit. And another person said, oh, once her voice changed a little bit. That's it. There's no like recordings of her. Nobody said she sounded completely different.
Yeah. And how much of that is code switching too? We all do that, especially women.
Yeah.
And especially people of color. They code switch and change voices depending on the audience.
Yeah, that's true too. Her voice and her crazy hair and how she looked is the least. I called it cold case hair because she has hair like the lady. It was on cold case.
Well, the girl she never met conditioner. Lord knows she never.
No, she had really fried hair. So you saw that I posted on Twitter, like I did a cosplay of her. I made my hair all messy. I put red lipstick on and a black turtleneck and a black jacket. And I posted, oh, getting ready for my investor meeting. I thought it was totally clear that I was doing, and I'm blonde and my hair is kind of fried. I do not wear it like that. I comb it back. It is bottle blonde and it's kind of dry, but I comb it back. I thought it was so clear that I was
But people
being
really
her.
took you seriously. They're like, good luck on your investor meeting.
I run a gossip blog. You think people are invested in my blog? And then I was mortified. I almost deleted it, but I told everybody, okay, this is Elizabeth Holmes cosplay. But it kind of speaks to the fact that you can look like total shit and have crazy, and I bugged my eyes out too. Like I did that on purpose. Have crazy eyes and get taken seriously, especially if you're a white woman.
Yes. Oh, that's very true.
Maybe that's a stretch. Maybe that's a stretch.
I don't think so.
But I saw on Twitter, like black women saying, do you think if a black woman had crazy hair like that she would be taken seriously and get so much press? And so that's another reason why people focus on that about her, because she did look like such a mess a lot of times.
Well, that's sexist too, though, because a guy can look like a mess.
Yeah.
And I've been watching Billions, and I love the show so much.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's probably very accurate. Damian Lewis plays the guy in charge of this capital hedge fund.
Okay.
He like wanders around the office, this huge like Wall Street office, in a Metallica t-shirt or a Megadeth t-shirt and jeans. And everyone around him is in suits and professional clothing. And I'm always like, well, that's probably accurate though. You know, if a guy that powerful and that rich dressed like a schlub and you're in these meetings, you know, if you're a white person in these meetings and you dress like a schlub, people are like, oh no, that's a power move.
That I've seen that in a lot of movies. I've seen that in workplaces working with guys in tech companies where everybody's messy because it's part of their, you know, their great minds or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's affectation for them too.
Or they don't. I mean, some of those guys are just scummy like that and they don't really notice their appearance. No, that's really who they are. And they can't be bothered to clean up. I've worked with dudes like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but if they were women, they would change, you know, or they wouldn't get ahead in their careers. Or they wouldn't get ahead in their careers anyway because they're women.
That's true, especially in the tech industry.
Yeah, it was crazy. I got to watch Billions. It sounds really good.
It is good. Oh, my God.
Ooh.
I was surprised by how much I liked it. I really was. But I'm a huge Damian Lewis fan. I don't know if you really give a shit about him.
He's a good actor. I saw him in that with Claire Danes. What was that series?
Homeland.
Yes, Homeland. I saw him in that, and he was quite good in it.
Yeah, he was good in Homeland.
Yeah.
I don't even think that was his best work, though.
So here's a clip of Elizabeth Holmes on Mad Money after the article came out by Bad Blood author John Carreyrou in the Wall Street Journal with multiple sources. I mean, they worked on this for months, detailing how Theranos was scamming and wasn't telling the truth about their technology. And that came out in October 2015. And after that, she was like, well, you know, people talk smack about you when you're going to change the world, and those sources are wrong. So here's that.
This is what happens when you work to change things. First they think you're crazy, then they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world. In this case, it was pretty disappointing to see that after every single one of the sources that we spoke with, who the Journal had contacted, told us that the statements that were being attributed to them were false or misleading, and the only sources who were left were ones who wouldn't speak with us, who
did the Journal
those
know
things
what
weren't
you just
referenced.
said? Did the Journal know everything that you just said before they wrote the article?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, notice how she muddied the water, how she acted like only two sources didn't talk to them. And yeah, she's got a deep voice, but she's also a scam artist, and that to us is the real story.
Yeah, that's true. So another big story this week was we finally got our first looks at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We've been talking about it for so long, it feels like forever already. Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, and there was a lot of conversation when the script first came out that it's set in the summer of 1969, and it will be about, in some way, the Manson family murders and the murder of Sharon Tate. So we got the first posters, and then finally the teaser trailer, the first trailer, and it was a teaser, came out, and it was awful.
It was good if it was a different movie, not about Sharon Tate's murder.
Yeah.
It would have been a good movie about 60s Hollywood and acting and bro friends.
Exactly. I would watch that movie if it wasn't about the Manson murders. I would watch Quentin Tarantino's 60s movie about the 1960s Hollywood. I think that would be awesome.
It looked cool that way. Yeah.
Instead, he makes it like, oh, here are Sharon Tate's neighbors who, we're going to make the film about, and Sharon Tate is going to be this plot device.
And they made her seem like that in the trailer, too. They just showed her, Margot Robbie, go-go dancing in the background as, like, an accessory versus she didn't have any lines. I didn't watch the trailer for a while. You reported it, and I saw a comment that they liked it, how Leonardo DiCaprio was crying. And I was like, oh, at least they're acknowledging Sharon Tate's murder in the trailer. But
no.
I really thought that. And then I watched it, and he's crying because some little girl tells him that he's a great actor. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on.
Well, I saw one comment on Twitter, and I'm going to butcher it, but whatever. Basically, like, only Quentin Tarantino understands the absurdity of Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio at this point and really plays into that. And I thought that was kind of smart.
Yeah.
They're huge movie stars. They're famous. They always play the same kind of role. Quentin Tarantino gets that. So he has them play, television star and the stunt man. And it's just about them.
And it looked like it would be campy fun if it was that kind of movie.
Yeah, if it wasn't about the horrendous, mass killings. There's a lot of talk and maybe early criticism about the fact that Quentin Tarantino put Bruce Lee, or, an actor playing Bruce Lee, in the film and in the trailer.
What's the criticism about? Is it from his family?
It's the same criticism as like a movie like Green Book. If you're going to make a movie about 1960s Hollywood and have Bruce Lee in it, shouldn't Bruce Lee have a bigger part?
At least the guy is Asian. Although, right? No, I know that's a low bar. That bar is really low. But come on, Tilda Swinton, what's her name? The other one.
Scarlett Johansson. Emma Stone,
right.
They've all played Asian characters.
At least the person is actually Asian. I know that's like...
Well, yeah, I mean, to give Tarantino credit, he usually does cast Asian actors in Asian roles.
That is such a low bar, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, he typecasts them as, like, you will often feel like every Asian person knows Kung Fu or whatever.
Yeah. So here's the segment of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where Mike Moe comes on as Bruce Lee, and you can hear Brad Pitt at the end as well.
My hands are registered as lethal weapons. We get into a fight, I accidentally kill you, I go to jail.
Anybody accidentally kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter.
He loves 70s movies. That's what he grew up with. I heard him on Fresh Air. So he makes those kind of campy, over-the-top, pulpy films. And
which, again, would be totally fine.
Yeah.
But just don't set it in the world of the Manson family murder.
So it looks like he's using Bruce Lee the same way he's using Sharon Tate, which is as an extra character. Oh, look, this is a real life thing. This is a real person. Yeah. We'll have to see how the movie is. So far, the trailer doesn't make it look like they're going to do justice
like
to
it's going to be any good whatsoever.
Yeah. It'll be good on a different level, but that's not what...
Did you ever see his last one, the one with Jennifer Jason Leigh, The Hateful Eight?
No, I didn't see Hateful Eight. You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that. It was good for like an hour.
Okay.
And then the ending just was absolutely terrible. I'm still mad about the ending.
I'm not a big Tarantino fan other than Pulp Fiction. I've seen some of his other movies, and I didn't even like Inglourious Basterds.
Inglourious Basterds had good performances, but once again, it had a bad ending.
And the plot was just weird.
Yeah. On television, they were replaying Jackie Brown for like a solid month.
Oh, that's a good movie. I haven't seen that in ages.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in ages either. And I was like, damn, this might be Quentin Tarantino's best movie.
That was a very good one.
It really was. And to like bring Pam Grier into it, it was wonderful.
Yeah, she's a great actress. That helped her resurgence. I saw an interview with her on Jezebel where she was thanking Tarantino for helping bring her career back and stuff.
I think the reason why Jackie Brown might be his best movie, arguably, is because he didn't create the story. He based it on Elmore Leonard's book. So he couldn't like screw up the ending and like all of a sudden introduce, I don't know, Ted Bundy into
That idea only came to him lately. He's using that now, but I don't know. So there were a lot of royal stories this week. Nothing really big, but people still talked a lot in the comments to those.
Yeah, they do. I knew that our last photos of the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, I knew that the last photos of her were not going to be those stupid nurse's hat photos. Like, she wouldn't leave us high and dry like that.
They went to...
Yeah, they went out to the New Zealand house, which is like the embassy, to pay their respects to the 50 people killed in the terrorist attack last week.
That was devastating last week, and
it was horrible. And her penmanship is absolutely gorgeous.
We saw that when she went to the older folks' home. Like, she can write.
Yeah, she has beautiful penmanship.
She does.
There's a lot of talk online, mostly on Twitter, that I've seen about both Meghan and Kate and the designers that they choose, specifically Gucci and Dolce & Gabbana. I think Dolce & Gabbana is a more offensive choice.
Yes.
Because they're such garbage people. The designers, Stefano Gabbano and Domenico Dolce.
Yes.
They are garbage people with horrible opinions on all kinds of things. I mean, they're horrible on gay marriage. They're horrible on adoption. They're horrible on...
sexual harassment.
What's that?
Sexual harassment. I did some research just reading your old posts.
Yeah, sexual harassment.
Yeah.
They're addressing Melania Trump. They're basically like going all in with saying, you know, everybody should be a fascist. You know, they're
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
They're saying and doing like ridiculous things
Yeah.
to get attention, and they think they're funny and charming, and they're not.
They're not.
They're just horrible people. And I don't understand why anyone would wear Dolce & Gabbana. Kate especially has been wearing a lot of Dolce & Gabbana. And I don't think that she's even really aware of it. I think that's why I don't really care about, are Meghan and Kate sending political messages when they wear a certain designer? Because I don't think they're hyper aware of insidery fashion gossip.
I don't think they know. Last year in July, that's when Gabbano wrote that Selena Gomez was ugly. And then everybody remembered all the other terrible takes those two had on things, going back to 2015 or so, I think, maybe even earlier than that. And so many labels have been so ridiculously racist in their production lines and what they've been putting out over the past few months. That's what Gucci did. They put out that blackface sweater in February.
Yeah, blackface sweater. And they came out and apologized right away. And they took it on the chin. But even I find it hard to keep up with. And I follow insider fashion gossip.
I wrote it down. I thought that they had the Noose hoodie, but that was Burberry.
Yeah.
Had the hoodie with the little ties that made a noose. Holy shit. The amount of people who have to approve those. And then Prada had like a racist keychain, a racist Sambo type display. In December,
and Katy Perry had Katy Perry's clothing line had racist stuff too. Yeah,
and the thing is, this is just happening now that white supremacy is being normalized. We're seeing more of this. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence either, and I don't think it's a coincidence that like all of these incidents happened one right after the other within the span of like 2 months. It was ridiculous. But as far as like royal women wearing these labels, I'm not so sure how aware the two women are of all of this stuff.
We don't even keep it straight.
I think that their stylists and the dressers and the people around them, they should be more aware.
Yes.
And they should say, maybe it's not a good idea to wear Gucci right at this moment. But I don't blame Kate and Meghan for it. I really don't.
They might have a closet full of clothes for them that they get to choose from. For Kate, they make it all twee and buttony and like little flared skirts.
Lace and lace. She has like 20 lace Dolce & Gabbana dresses. Anyway.
And for Meghan, they make it nice and sleek and modern looking, solid colors.
Well, and speaking of like closets full of stuff, both Meghan and Kate, they're planning out their outfits sometimes months in advance.
Yeah.
So of course they're not keeping up with what broke in the fashion industry last week because they already planned to wear that Gucci coat, a month ago. So
that's a good point. And they probably have, a whole spreadsheet or whatever. The
No,
clothes listed
seriously.
out.
I think
Yeah.
they do for tours. They have a spreadsheet. They have everything labeled, everything planned out months in advance.
Oh, I'm just thinking about how nice that is. I'm going to wear this outfit for this thing with these fabulous jewels from 200 years ago. Oh, I want that.
All right. And we wanted to talk about this absolutely horrendous Lena Dunham article in Vogue. You do the intro.
I asked you if I could talk about this. You tweeted about it. I had to go and listen to what we had said in previous podcasts. On our 6th podcast, we talk about why we stopped discussing certain celebrities. And you specifically mentioned Lena Dunham because she's a garbage person. And she also, she is. You know, we can give you examples, but she didn't believe a rape victim. And she's deliberately provocative. She's always laying around in her underwear on Instagram. You know,
And let's just call it what it is. She's an asshole.
Yeah, she's an asshole. She's an asshole. And she wrote an article for Vogue, which just blew our minds. And it's called, Can a Good Man Mistreat You During Sex If That's What You Desire? It was the verbal equivalent of her laying around in dirty underwear and posting the picture to Instagram. Because it was the writing. Oh my God. It's so pretentious and not that good. I would have cut a ton of it. And the story she told was about how she's doing online dating. She met a guy, like the second time they slept together, it was probably their second date. You can't tell in the really terrible way she wrote this. She wanted him to do some light S&M with her. Oh, by the way, this is not safe around kids, just so you know. So,
Well, okay. So I actually sat down and read this today.
I'm sorry. I kind of wanted you to do that. It was like, smell this horrible thing. This is nasty.
Yeah. Well, I had read the first few paragraphs and I was like, nope, tapping out. This girl's an asshole. I don't want to read the rest of it. But I knew we were going to talk about it, so I read it.
Okay.
It is the worst. So let me just clarify how I see it.
Okay.
I think that she organized a way to stay the weekend with this guy.
Oh,
who
yeah.
You absolutely know he had a soul patch. You know he was gross. You know he was gross. You know he had dyed hair and a soul patch. And he had like a studded belt.
God.
You absolutely know that shit.
Yeah.
So she like stayed the weekend at his house. And he's in his 40s. And she's like going on and on about how he's an older man. She was like trying to seduce him. And she's trying to like find a way to tell him that she wants to be mistreated a little bit. But she isn't clear at all with him. And she's not clear to the reader at all exactly what she wants.
Yes.
But she doesn't tell him what she wants. And so he calls her a dirty word. And she doesn't say the word. I think he called her like a bitch or something.
Yes.
That was his version of like dirty talk. And she was like, I'm so offended. I can't believe he would say that. I'm never going to talk to him again. I cannot believe you made me read this whole story. But here I am having strong feelings about it.
I knew it would be funny to talk about.
How does someone who talks that much communicate so poorly?
I'm going to read part of what she said, and I'll put that goofy music over it that I did for Neri Oxman. I love that clip. In a perfect scenario, I'd be seen for who I am and experienced with love and tenderness, which is how I'm just starting to experience myself. Literally, just because I stopped reading the internet. So when some of you inevitably find this article troubling, I'll have zero idea as I happily drink diet ginger ale in my savage ex-Fenty thong. I'd walk a gentle path with a lover who has made themselves available to see the world with me and to comfort me when I'm hurting. We would watch a lot of my 600-pound life and drink a lot of hot green tea and wrap presents for each other when it isn't even a holiday. He'd also turn into a bad lieutenant-style monster when the clock strikes midnight and do things that would make even my liberal mother shudder. Who thinks about their mother when they're talking about sex? Like, I'm like, well, what would my mother think of this? The fact that she even wrote that.
The whole thing was like that, though. And she's not even clear about what she wants.
No. And, like, maybe she didn't want to describe it like she wanted to be spanked or tied up or something, which is no big deal. Just be like, oh, I'm into this.
But the whole purpose of this essay, which was overwrought and overwritten, and Vogue had absolutely no business publishing it.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this essay was that she wants something dirty, like something very specifically dirty from this guy, from any guy really. And like, she doesn't even know how to verbalize it.
Yeah. So thanks for reading that for me. I'm sorry I made you do that. I wanted to do something unique for the podcast because we won't even write about her. So let's move on to the user questions. Our number is 434-218-3219. You can email us at info@celebrity.com, and we're also on Twitter and Instagram. So this is just, it's not a question. It's just a nice voicemail we got about how they used to pronounce celebrity. They used to pronounce it differently than we do.
Hi, ladies. I'm calling from Canada. I post usually as Cold-Blooded Jelly Donut. I have been really enjoying the podcast, and I just wanted to comment because this is something that has made me laugh for a long time with celebrity, is that most of the time I read it like celeb-itchy, like itchy celebrities. So I thought you guys might enjoy that. Have a good day. Bye.
Okay, that was cute. That's nice that she called us. There's a lot of confusion over how you pronounce the name. We've kind of talked about this before. It's just like celebrity, but it's celebrity. It's just supposed to be kind of roll off the tongue. Some people say celeb-itchy. I've never heard celeb-itchy, but I don't care. Say it however you want.
It can easily be pronounced different ways, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
It's just supposed to sound like celebrity, but celebrity. Just like one word like that.
Yeah.
And so we got some nice feedback on Twitter. Judas Revenge said that I've been reading Celebrity first thing in the morning since 2008, but I've never commented, and I like seeing you on Twitter, which was nice. And Red Rosetta 789 said she'd been reading for that long too, and that her husband calls her online gossip her celebrity stuff. So that was nice. And the question we are answering this week is from Senator Fan. And they asked in our podcast post, who do you think Brad Pitt will end up with? Someone in the entertainment business or not? And the same question for Angelina. Although I do think she will date someone out of the business and she'll keep it private.
Yeah, I think Brad will end up with someone in the industry. I really do. I think Charlize Theron was an idea that his publicity team came up with.
Yeah.
Ideally, he would want someone like Charlize, maybe even younger. Someone late 20s, early 30s, a Scarlett Johansson type. That would be very good for him. An actress, maybe someone with, delusions of grandeur about how she's going to like direct and produce. And, he'll be like all over that.
That is a good one.
I think Angelina will not date an actor ever again. I don't see her dating an actor again.
Who was she rumored to be? Oh, Cuarón.
Yeah, Alfonso Cuarón. I don't know if that's happening. I would love it if it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do know that he and his wife split up very recently, though.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, and Angelina and Alfonso have been friends for years. Friendly business associates, that kind of thing. And there's always a rumor about her, going off to Great Britain and finding some British billionaire to marry her.
Colin Farrell, wasn't it?
I think if she's dealing with Colin Farrell, I think it's just a sex thing.
I saw his sex tape. I did see his sex tape.
So did I. He can lay some pipe. My goodness.
I'm just gonna leave the E-tag. I'll put the E-tag on this one. God damn.
Several weeks back we were talking about Ariana Grande, and you had never seen Big Sean's dick photo. And you went and looked it up.
I thought it was fake. I was like, that's not real. Oh man. No, I had not seen that. I looked it up. That was secret celebrity business you just revealed.
Very secret celebrity business.
I wrote about it. I only linked to delisted which link to it. I didn't even link to it. I linked. Oh, that's when was meeting up with Ariana outside the studio, and she's since picked another guy to hang out with. We didn't even write about that. And the other guy she hung out with didn't even rate being on Thank You Next. Like,
he was
some random.
He was an ex that never even made it into a lyric. Yeah.
Right. Oh, she's hilarious. Okay, so let's move on to the comments of the week. So I'm going to try to do a nice comment and a funny comment. I don't know if I'll do that every week. We had a story about Gwyneth Paltrow. She was on Dax Shepard's podcast, and she said a lot of her bullshit.
No, it's true.
About how divorce is the worst outcome possible. Oh, I got to say this because I know they're never going to listen to it. I had a phone talk with an ad company, and the woman used the word synergy like in the first 2 sentences. I was like, oh shit, that's just how the rest of this conversation is going to go.
Uh-huh.
So Gwyneth was talking about how, you know, she invented conscious uncoupling or whatever. So Amy Tennant opened up in that post about the fact that she had lost her husband just 3 months ago. And it was very touching. And a lot of people offered their support. And MB said, you know, she's sorry and that she had lost her husband too. And that what Amy really needs to do is to reach out and accept help. And that whole thread was excellent. And thanks to everybody who responded to Amy and gave her support.
Yeah, that was really lovely.
It was nice. And then I had a funny post.
Yeah, you had a funny comment.
So Hecate wrote the story about Sarah Hyland got a haircut. She got a shaggy bob. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, I thought it said she had shaggy boobs. You know, like, or saggy boobs, which I read it that way the first time too. And she did a great job in that post of just talking about the history of the shaggy bob and other celebrities who'd gotten that cut. And Brutal Ethel said, sorry, ladies, but nobody's ever going to wear a shag like David Cassidy.
And my comment of the week was actually recommended by other commenters who thought this comment was so funny. It was in the post about Emma Roberts dumping her on and off again boyfriend, Evan Peters. And now she's dating Garrett Hedlund. And the commenters started talking about how hot Garrett Hedlund was in Triple Frontier, which is this like bro movie starring Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam. Oh, Pedro Pascal is in it.
Yes.
And so Ashley on Garrett Hedlund said, he's so hot in Triple Frontier. That movie is like 4 hot guys and Ben Affleck.
It is. I saw it. I made my mom watch it with me. It wasn't bad. I might have been mad if I paid money for it, but for a Netflix movie where you can do other stuff, you're like, okay, It helps kill a couple hours. Oscar Isaac was so hot, though. That was who I was watching.
Yeah, he's a beautiful guy. He really is, Oscar Isaac.
He is. I tried to watch Inside Llewellyn Davis, and I couldn't get through it.
Yeah, I've never seen that. People were like, oh, it's going to win a ton of Oscars. It didn't.
It was kind of boring to start. And I saw so much on Twitter where people were like, no, not Garrett Hedlund. Get away from me.
Oh, about Emma Roberts?
Emma Roberts taking Garrett Hedlund. They're like, what? No.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. He could have pulled some A-list ladies, and he's going with Emma Roberts? Her?
She's around. She's probably around. You know, she's around. He was single. We'll see how that goes. But
all right.
Thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. If you could please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or your platform of choice, it will really help us, and we appreciate it a lot. You can call us and leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our website is celebrity.com, and we're also on Twitter under that handle and on Instagram as Celebrity Official. Thanks again.